Hello and welcome to Manchester United, the D Unit's View. Look, unfortunately, I've been AFK for literally the last week since I did the last pod after the Liverpool game, where I said this had to be the beginning of the new standard of what we're seeing. And I do apologise that I haven't been around. Unfortunately, I watched the Arsenal game while I was, the first half at home and then the second half on the tube as I was catching the train up to the airport to get a flight back to Australia. And it was a very long process. I tell you, I was on the train station in Barons Court watching the penalties live on my phone, and the whole station knew that Manchester United were playing because I was like, yes, every time we scored a goal. So, look, that was exciting in and of itself. That was a great performance and really backed onto what we developed at Liverpool. And I was very excited about what I saw there. And those two games aside just show that the players are capable of stepping up, but it's easier against the big teams because you have to raise your level of performance. When we play the more, what's the word I'm looking for? The teams we're expected to beat and swat aside, they're the games that we seem to struggle with. Like we've really gone downhill. And look, I'm recording this straight after watching the Southampton performance this morning. And yes, it was great that we turned the game around, but there was so many concerning signs there, particularly in the first half. I understand that potentially we played 120 minutes and we've played a lot of football over Christmas. I can understand that potentially the players are a little bit tired, but we've had a week in between Liverpool and Arsenal and then a week before the Liverpool game. Like, that's 2 games in 2 weeks. Yes, you played 120 minutes, but the performance that we saw in the first half against Southampton just frankly wasn't good enough and not acceptable. So we are going to talk a bit about that. I do want to just talk on the Arsenal game. That was a fantastic game of football, like to watch. The commitment, the desire to defend. Yes, Arsenal scored, but I tell you what, the defensive effort and the one person that has been leading that has been Harry Maguire. Like, how the tables have turned for that man. He has been unbelievably good. Fantastic to see him do so well as well. Like, I'm just super excited for him. I'm very glad that, he has started to show the 80 million that we spent, and the fact that we've extended his contract for next year makes a lot of sense. Him in the centre back, right in the middle, he looks nailed on in that spot. Like, it just suits him so damn well. I don't even know what to say, other than the fact that I felt like he was definitely missed today. I'm assuming because of the fact that he has been ill and unfortunately had to be subbed against Arsenal in the 105th minute, that potentially he probably just needed the rest. But I can guarantee he'll be back in against Brighton. He was absolutely fantastic in the Arsenal game. And for me, he was the man of the match. Yes, Joshua Zirkzee, was a great moment for him scoring that goal. And we'll get on to him a little bit later on. Ever since that game where he got subbed off against Newcastle, where, to be honest, he hasn't been flash, he's actually turned it around. I've thought in the last 3 games, he's looked so much better. It's like Ruben Amorim's just brought him back in. Maybe that's why we haven't seen him start. But every time he's come off the bench the last couple of games, he's definitely provided a spark for Manchester United. And for me, that's improvement in and of itself. So for me, I'm very excited about where that's potentially going. But look, there's a lot of things to break down here, a lot of news to get through as well. And, let's start with the first half today. He obviously made a couple of changes to the game from Arsenal on the weekend. So Harry Maguire obviously stepped out and Matthias De Ligt stepped into the centre-back role, and the right centre-back was taken over by Lenny Yoro. Now, I actually predicted that in my predicted lineup because I just thought that Harry Maguire potentially wouldn't be risked for the second time in a week, and I was correct. I did think that Ahmad was going to start as right wing back as well, with Mazraoui on the left. Obviously, Dalot was suspended after he got sent off. That was the dumbest thing that happened, was Dallow's second booking against Arsenal. Like, the referee in that Arsenal game was an absolute joke. He should never be put on a big game ever again. I've actually sent him back to the championship after the pathetic performance he had. It was never a penalty, by the way, in that Arsenal game. I know I'm jumping around a little bit here. I'm trying to cover 2 games at once. But, yeah. Let's just put it that way. I didn't think much of Mazraoui at left wing back. But again, he hasn't really been playing there, so I can't really fault him too much. We just looked a little bit lopsided on that particular side of the field. Manuel Ugarte and Mainu looked like they'd played 120 minutes because they were not quick in this game. They were actually like, we'll get into the problems that we had and potentially things that we need to be doing. But Mainu potentially need to get onto him. Fantastic player, but potentially in this system, that may not be his best spot. He might actually be better in a number 10 role. And we'll get into that towards the back end of this video. Obviously, then, Garnacho started for the second game in a row. I actually thought he was right in this game as well. Rasmus Højlund started up top, and Bruno Fernandes was in the other number 10 position. Now, it just looked like because of the fact that Dalot wasn't there, that they're just the chemistry on the left-hand side definitely just looked way off. I don't know if that's just because Mazraoui's been on the right the entire time. But look, Manuel Ugarte obviously got the own goal, and Southampton rightfully took the lead in this game. Like, this game at half-time could easily have been 3-0 Southampton. And that wouldn't have even flattered them. They dominated without actually scoring and making the most of their chances. Tyler Dibbling looked like an absolute baller out there at 18 years old. I can understand why potentially there was links with Manchester United trying to sign him. And I think that if Southampton go down, Tyler Dibbling will definitely be going to a Premier League team. And to be honest, I saw enough in this game to suggest he was really good. And I had another bloke up the front line. I'm just going to find his name really quickly. It was... Fernandes was actually really good. Salamana, though, he destroyed Euro. He made Euro look bang average. It was like one of them chastening experiences for Euro, particularly in that first half. Like he unfortunately had to suffer through it for 82 minutes, but he continuously just got run at by this Salamunu bloke that just had him for pace, had him for skill. It definitely wasn't his best night at the office, let's put it that way. Now, 60% possession we finished off with, but there was a spell in the first half where Southampton had the ball 70% of the time for a good 10 to 15 minute spell. Unbelievably bad. Like, unfortunately, it just looked like Ugarte and Mainu were still tied from Sunday. Now, I know that Mainu's not got the best, the quickest legs. Neither does Ugarte really, and I think that that's an area of the pitch that we are going to have to strengthen in, because it was glaringly obvious with the way Southampton were playing that they just kept on getting like through that area of the pitch. Maybe we need to get a bit better with the ball and a bit more controlling with it. But in the first half, we're consistently giving it away quite a lot, and we're just getting outrun. Like, and it wasn't the fact that our blokes weren't running; they're just not very quick in comparison to the blokes that Southampton had running through there, which isn't ideal moving forward. Now, in terms of the forward line, obviously, they were okay, but Rasmus Højlund, I think he probably needs a rest. When Joshua Zirkzee obviously got booed off at Old Trafford the last time, and we don't condone that at all. We should be always supporting the players. But Rasmus Højlund just looks devoid of any kind of confidence, isn't really making any of the runs, and nothing seems to be getting. He's got a lot of throwing his hands up in the air a lot, not the best body language. And Joshua Zirkzee, to be fair, he made a massive difference when he came on. Continuously realised, play the ball to Ahmad, and once Zirkzee came on, it just looked like the tempo got uplifted. And Zirkzee did some really good link-up play and spread the ball really well. I thought his last couple of games, even against Arsenal when he came on there, was fantastic, and he continued to build again on that performance here. So I'm really liking it, what I'm seeing over the last couple of games from Zirkzee. I think realistically he probably should be starting against Brighton on Sunday, because I just think that that's the correct call. I've been very disappointed with Rasmus Højlund the last few weeks, and I just think that he needs a rest. Like, he just needs to be put on the bench maybe for a game or two, and maybe Zirkzee starts up front, because I think that we've looked better when that's been the case the last couple of games. That's just my personal opinion. That's what I'd be doing. I'm obviously not Ruben Amorim. He obviously sees stuff that I don't see in training and in games, but from our perspective, watching the games, that's what it looks like to me. In terms of the stats for this game, 60% possession we finished up with. It was 23 shots in the end for Man United, 13 to Southampton. 9 shots on target to us, 5 to Southampton. Total passes, 594 to Southampton's 406. Completed were 504 to 323, so really dominated, particularly in the second half. Tackles won, we only won 10, Southampton won 16, and aerial duels won, we only won 9, and Southampton won 20, which is an interesting stat. But the main stat that mattered was Amad Diallo got his first ever hat-trick and broke a boatload of records in the process. So if you're a long-suffering Manchester United fan like I am, you will know that we haven't seen many hat-tricks over the last 15 years. In fact, if you're trying to work it out, I can tell you when the last ones were. So Cristiano Ronaldo scored our last hat-trick on the 16th of April 2022 when he scored a hat-trick against Norwich. Now, I happen to be at the second last hat-trick in this one, and that was when Cristiano Ronaldo scored a hat-trick, same season, in March, 12th of March, against Tottenham. I was there for that hat-trick. Brilliant hat-trick. I was so thankful I was able to watch him score a hat-trick for Man United. Bruno Fernandes scored a hat-trick against Leeds United back in 2021 on the opening day or the second, was it? Yeah, it was the opening day, 14th of August. So, yeah, it must have been. Anthony Martial obviously scored a hat-trick against Sheffield United on the 24th of June 2020, I think when the season resumed, empty stadiums or whatever it was. And Robin Van Persie scored our fifth last hat-trick back in 2013 against Aston Villa when he scored that amazing goal, I think, to finish off his hat-trick, 22nd of April for that one. So, yeah, we haven't seen many hat-tricks, which is disappointing. He also broke a bunch of records in terms of scoring a hat-trick after the 80th minute. Now, ironically, Manchester United own this. So, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer obviously scored 4 as a substitute in the famous 8-1 win against Nottingham Forest in 99. Rooney obviously matched that hole when terrorising Hull City in early 2010. And, since 1992, there's only been 3 players to score 3 goals after the 80th minute, and Amad became the third one. Now, at 22 years of age, he is starting to demonstrate, and I'm so glad that he's now signed down to a new contract, because he has really kicked on. It is the most baffling of all myths how Erik ten Hag didn't play Amad every week over the last year. I don't know what he saw in Anthony or anyone else to keep picking him in front of Amad. His form this season has been unbelievably good. And the fact that he signed a contract and he's now got his first hat-trick, that's a good sign that the contract isn't going to affect him. He's just going to kick on. Him holding the badge and everything, he really loves playing for Man United. And he always does it with, whenever the ball goes to him, stuff happens. He just runs at players, takes them on, looks fantastic. There's so much to get excited about. We just look a different team when he's further forward. And obviously, revert back to right wing back was obviously Dallo was suspended here. And Anthony, I thought when he came on the second half, I thought that meant that Amad was going to go into the 10 position and Anthony was going to go there. Alas, that wasn't actually the case. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure why that didn't happen at the beginning of the second half, but eventually he swapped it around. Amad went into that advanced role, and all 3 goals came from Amad, pretty much just working, taking players on, gambling, doing things that our other players just don't seem to do. So the second goal, when he played the 1-2 with Eriksen, normally most of our attackers just play that ball to Eriksen and just stop. They don't do anything. Whereas Amad just continues to run. I mean, the ball over from Eriksen was inch perfect. If it had been anywhere else, Amad wouldn't have got to it. But what a finish as well. Just fling a foot out. He looked over his head and thought, I'm just going to fling a foot out. It goes in, 2-1, and then the third one is all about him just pressing the ball. Amad is such a good presser of the ball. That's what we need the rest of the team to aspire to. His level of play will be going places. That's how good Amad has been. He's just been fantastic. And he saved Manchester United's blushes. Southampton, as I said, in the first half were all over us. They could have easily been 2 or 3 goals in front. Another concerning thing is we conceded yet again from another corner. That's now 10 goals we've conceded already at this point in the season. We're joint top with Wolves for conceding from set-piece situations, and Wolves are in the relegation zone. That is not a good stat. That's not something to be proud of, and it needs to be sorted out. Yes, it looked like it had been sorted out against Arsenal, looked like we were much better, but that was of Harry Maguire and the team. I think that just shows the importance of Harry Maguire and his height and his ability to win the ball in the air from those situations. He has definitely turned it around in his career. Honestly, I can definitely see him signing another deal at the end of next season if he continues this level of play up. He just looks amazing in this particular system. And yeah, Toby Collier looked really good as well. Mainu obviously got hooked at halftime, sent Bruno in the midfield. It gave us a bit more energy. And then Collier came on and he put himself about as well for Ugarte pretty soon into the second half as well. And I don't know if it was just the fact that they were tired and they were leggy. It'll be interesting to see who he starts with on Sunday, in particularly that centre midfield role. But you know, it's just something to keep in mind. Brighton, I would suggest, are a far better team than Southampton, but they may also play into our hands a little bit in terms of the way they play. It might be a bit more like how we were playing against Liverpool and Arsenal. Might be able to do that with Brighton, but Brighton normally do give us a bit of a torrid time, so the players really need to be up for it. But hopefully they're going to bed with a nice little feeling in their things, and you know, it was good. Can't complain. Having gone to the last two games at Old Trafford and seeing no goals and 5 conceded, when Southampton scored, I was like, oh my God, not again, surely not. So I'm super glad that Ahmad scored a hat-trick in front of the Stretford end, and hopefully that continues moving forward. Hopefully he can kick on again. Ruben Amorim, in his post-match press conference, said the stadium support was special, but then he just said, on Brighton next, we didn't manage to win and must hold on to that feeling and go again on Sunday. Tomorrow they have to rest and recover. This kind of club looks to win every game. In football, this is the past and we need to prepare for the future. And look, he said that he expected Southampton were going to be like this. There's no easy games in the Premier League, and Southampton proved that, particularly in the first half, where they literally gave us a very torrid time. I mean, it could have been so much further behind. He also said that about Ahmad, he needs to continue. In football, one day you're a really good player, the next day you have to do it all over again. That's the spirit we need to have in this team. We've won 1, scored 3 goals, and we need to prepare for the next match. But he did a great job even during the game. He has a lot to improve. He played in a different position today, and then in the second half, we took advantage of his ability with good assists from the players. His last goal was similar to the one against Everton. And yeah, I just think that he talked about the subs making a difference, but then said that the players that started the game worked tirelessly. I think that was a bit of a cop-out because some of the players that started today I just didn't think were very good. Mainu didn't have a very flattering game. Ugarte, again, was, you know, he'd been fantastic the last few games, but he just looked like he was tired. I think a few players looked like they were tired. Hopefully, the fact that they had reduced minutes, they might be able to have a better performance level against Brighton. With some luck, Dallo obviously back for that game as well. So Ahmad should hopefully be starting a little bit further forward. Unlike where he obviously started the game a little bit further. In terms of what he had to say, he basically was, you know, felt very proud. And then this is what he said. So scoring in front of a Raptors Stretford gave him pride after experiencing that feeling 3 times as he netted a hat-trick. So what did he actually say? Hold on. Yeah, it's important to score, said our exuberant number 16. But for me, the most important thing right now is the win together. I'm so happy to score my first hat-trick, especially at Old Trafford. I'm so happy, especially for the win, because I think this team deserve it, and we have to keep going like this. So yeah, I think especially in the first half, we were not good enough, confess the 22-year-old, but I think we believed until the end. We pushed and pushed, and the fans were already there to push us. We won the match, but we have to keep going like this because the next match is against Brighton. It's a tough match, and we have to be focused. And that's the key. They have to be focused. Like, that's what it is. I mean, we've got to kick on. Like, one win is not enough. The Arsenal win, we almost had that classic come down, have a massive high. We drew away at Anfield 2-2 against Liverpool, dented their hopes a little bit. We obviously kicked Arsenal out of the FA Cup in spectacular fashion in a penalty shootout. There was obviously going to be a bit of a come down from those last 2 games. But these are the games where we've got to win. These are the bread and butter to get back up the league where we should be, moving forward, being a consistent football club, being a good football club. These are the games that have to be won. And to build on that, we need the players that are going to fit into this system. So there's been lots of talk about Marcus Rashford meeting Italian clubs, Spanish clubs. I think the most realistically chance is that we can get him out on loan. Hopefully he does really well wherever he goes, which boosts his transfer market value for the summer, and we sell him in the summer. I think it makes a lot of sense now. He hasn't been involved in the squad. Get him out on loan, wherever he wants to go, make him happy. Hopefully he does super well, and then we get a really good fee for him in the summer. In terms of other news, there's been reported that Napoli are going to come in for Garnacho. If they've just made 70 million from selling Cusquela or whatever his name is to PSG, the minimum asking price is 70 million. Like, that's it. You've got 70 million. We know you've got it because you've just been paid it. That's what you're going to be paying for Alejandro Garnacho. I realistically don't want them to do that transfer. I think that it's better to keep our homegrown players, and hopefully he can get into he has looked better the last couple of games in the Ruben Amorim system, so hopefully that can continue, because then he's going to be worth a lot more money in that. Now, the links on Kobbie Mainoo being sold, that transfer makes no sense to me. That we should not be selling him, because it would make no sense. Yes, football has come to a very dark place. If clubs are having to sell players like that to fulfill PSR requirements, is a joke. Like, that needs to be changed if that is the case. If that is all it is doing, is encouraging clubs to sell their homegrown talents, it makes no sense. That is destroying the soul of football clubs. It makes no sense. It should not be happening at all. Any way, shape or form, it needs to be put to bed. The rules need to be changed to stop this kind of nonsense from happening. I don't think it would go down very well with any Manchester United fan if we sold Kobbie Mainoo. I understand why they would do it for PSR reasons, but it would make no sense, because to get someone of his quality, you're going to have to pay more money than if you just sold him to, like, for example, Chelsea, who love buying up the talent. It makes no sense on any way, shape or form. It's a dumb move. That shouldn't be happening. Casemiro continues to be linked with Saudi Arabia. Is it going to be happening? I hope it does, because he's making a boatload of money from us and doing absolutely squat. Again, not brought on here, not seen. I think it's safe to say that he probably needs to go. Anthony's another one that probably needs to go. Again, came on here for a full half. Didn't really offer a hell of a lot, I didn't think. He's just not a very good player for 85 mil. He somehow managed to not score when it was easy to score as well in the second half. I still don't know how he didn't actually score from that. Inside the 6-yard box and somehow didn't put it in the back of the net. He actually just pretty much gave it to the goalkeeper. It was unbelievable. Can't believe we spent 85 million on him. Eriksen is again another one. He did obviously provide the assist here, and he does offer something from the bench, but we know he's going to leave in the summer. Get him off the wages now. Like, it's got to be like Victor Lindelof as well. Get him off the wages. Loan him out. Do something. The dude's not going to be part of the team moving forward. This is the sort of things that need to be done. Like, obviously, January transfer window is a tough market in general. Are we going to sign any players? Yes, we've signed a left back who's going to be joining us in the summer, Diego Lejon or something like that. I can't remember. I've probably just said his name horribly wrong. But he's one that they're going to probably bring in the summer, assess him, see if he needs to be in the youth team, loan him out, or et cetera, or if he's ready for the first team, which is great. But I think realistically, we need some legs in the midfield. Definitely need someone that can get around the pitch like a proper box-to-box midfielder with a bit of speed. That's what we need there. And we probably need, realistically, and this is why I was talking about Kobbie Mainoo, I actually think that his best position might actually be as one of those two attacking number 10 positions. Kobbie's really good on the ball. That way he doesn't have to sit there and get back quite as quick. He can obviously press fairly well from that position of the pitch as well. I just think that he's got a lot of quality, and if we know he can score, we saw it last season, playing him closer to goal could be a really masterstroke of an idea, and I really think that that's potentially where he might end up long term in the Ruben Amorim system, rather than the two in midfield. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know if that's something that Amorim's thinking about or what the club's thinking about, but yeah, I just don't think that the combination of him and Ugarte has the legs against the teams that move the ball super quick. Like, there will be holes left in there, and that's probably what we definitely saw it under Erik ten Hag. And Ugarte's not like a massive speed upgrade on like your Casemiro. He's obviously a speed upgrade on Casemiro, but he's not a massive speed up. So, like, that's the kind of thing we need to be concerned about, is like making sure we've got the legs, particularly in the midfield, in order to like get around the pitch. The other parts of the squad as well, we do need to focus on those wing-back roles. I think definitely he needs one attacking wing-back. Mazraoui and Dalot are more defenders than wing-backs, but we need someone that is really good going forward attacking-wise, because otherwise too much of the work, as what's happening currently, falls on Ahmad's shoulders to do everything. That's not acceptable. It's not, with him being 22 years old, we can't be expecting him to deliver week in, week out either. So look, that's what I'll say on that. I'm looking forward, obviously, to watching the game on Brighton on Sunday. I was very concerned for 75 minutes of this game. Thankfully, we have come back. We've won at 3-1. It's 3 positive results on the spin. But this has to be the benchmark. We have to be pushing on. We have to be stringing back-to-back, particularly games at home. We need to start making Old Trafford a fortress again. That was a good, positive first step. Coming back from behind, again, showing really good character. And after the Liverpool game where we came from behind there to salvage a draw, and we held on for 60 minutes with 10 men against Arsenal before beating them in the penalties. Lots of things to get excited about, but we need to start doing some work here in the January transfer window to try and give him a bit better of a squad that's going to really help us kick on in the second half of the season, because or else there's about 14, 15 players there that locked in, sold on the idea, buying into the Amarin thing. The rest, though, probably just need to be moved on post-haste, get some money back into the club, invest it in players that are going to take this great club forward. Thanks for joining me. That's been Manchester United, the D Unit's View.